It's always curious. The market tanks, and yet there are still people applauding. They do look happy as the stock market closed today. Perhaps if they had to check their 401k, they would not be applauding. The S&P fell another 3% today. The NASDAQ, where you buy and sell a lot of big technology stocks, was down more than 4%. And Dow futures, which show us how tomorrow morning will look, point to a slightly higher open tomorrow. All bleeding stops eventually, but for the year, the NASDAQ is down almost 27%, meaning if you invested 10 grand at the start of the year in the NASDAQ, your balance is down to $7,300. That's the background to the next round of inflation data on Wednesday. Gas at an all-time high, and gas prices are going back up. Your grocery bill is way up. Flour up 45%, beef up 22%. President Biden will talk tomorrow about fighting the high prices. Julia Manchester, political reporter at The Hill. Scott Tranter, director of data science at DecisionDesk HQ, will be making the election calls for us tomorrow night. Scott, we're going to let you take your victory lap here in a couple of minutes on your calls last week. Julia, first to you. All right. Does not appear as though the American people, at least based on the polling, are buying the Putin price hike line from the White House. So what's plan B?
Well, it seems like plan B at this point, Leland, is to blame this on Republicans. And I think what Biden is essentially doing is taking a page out of the Democratic campaign committees, I should say, playbook, particularly the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. That committee has been taking direct aim at Florida Senator Rick Scott, who for a few months ago actually went ahead and released his own plan as to what a GOP agenda should be. And that plan included having more Americans pay income taxes, as well as a potential sunset of Medicare and Medicaid programs. Now, that plan has gotten a lot of backlash from Republicans, but Democrats very much pouncing on that, saying Rick Scott wants to raise your taxes. And we know that Rick Scott is the chairman of the Republican Senate Campaign Committee. So they have essentially tied this to the overall Republican Party. Now, it's important to note the Republican Party hasn't released an official agenda on this, but this is Biden very much trying to blame this.
Yeah, it's an awfully long stretch, isn't it, Scott? You think about it, gas up 46%, flour up 45%, ground beef up 22%. Do the American people buy the political gimmicks?
No, they don't. And that's why you see it as their number one issue for the past 4 months running. It's going to be the number one issue through the summer. I mean, when gas is 30-40% higher than it was, we're not talking about adding 10 cents a gallon. We're talking adding, $1 to $2. We're seeing, we're not talking about adding 50 cents to bread. We're talking about seeing bread go up by $2 or $3. This is pretty big, and this is hitting everybody, whether you're a low income voter or a high income voter, and they're all looking to the government to help them fix it.
Yeah, typically looking to the government to help fix many things is often an exercise in futility. But, Julia, you think about somebody like Joe Manchin comparing whether people are going to vote on the issue of abortion or the issue of inflation. Inflation is the number one driving factor. I believe in my state right now it's hurting everybody. Follow the money. Is there any plan C in the White House if blaming Republicans who hold neither the House, the Senate, or the White House doesn't work out?
It's unclear at this point, but I think with this bombshell that came out last week about abortion and, this leaked draft decision, I think Democrats and maybe some in the White House are hoping that this is an issue that can not only galvanize their own base, but also could galvanize independent voters, particularly suburban voters, suburban women voters who have decided elections or played deciding roles in elections over the past couple of election cycles. That being said, though, when you compare it to an issue like inflation, it's difficult to say which issue is going to be top priority for these voters. I mean, I guess the argument can be made, obviously, that abortion impacts women in particular every single day. But with inflation, when you're paying at the pump, paying for the price of goods and services, and those are up, I question how you can compete with that as a top issue.
Yeah, Scott, in terms of the polling on this, will abortion bring back the suburban women voters that by polling 2 months ago or a month ago had left President Biden?
It's an interesting question. I have yet to see there's going to be a lot more new public polling and private polling done on it. I think if you're the Democrats, that's what you're certainly hoping. I've yet to see any data to support that. And I think, as Julia said, look, at the end of the day, you can care about more than one issue at the same time. And, people can care about abortion, but they're certainly going to care about what it's going to cost them to buy a home or gas or bread. And that is a cross-gender issue, cross socioeconomic issue. So I would like to see the data is what I'm getting at.
All right. Well, when you have it, come back and talk to us about it, of course. Now we get to give you your victory lap, Scott. Last week, you were ahead of the other major networks by at least 15 minutes, in some cases 30 minutes, in calling the Ohio Senate race. We look to the West Virginia House GOP primary. Alex Mooney versus David McKinley. McKinley backed by Manchin, Mooney backed by President Trump. Interestingly enough, in this race, because of redistricting, you have two incumbents, two sitting congressmen running for what is one seat in West Virginia because they lost a seat. Obviously, if the candidate backed by Joe Manchin won, it would be enormous. If the candidate endorsed by President Trump wins, is that all that significant?
No, in fact, at this point, especially given the win in Ohio last week, and it looks like, there'll be some interesting races tomorrow and next week, it's expected that the President Trump-backed candidate's going to win. It'll be news if it doesn't, but it'll be status quo if it does.
Yeah, real quick on Nebraska. Charles Hebster, the Trump nominee, in second place. Jim Pellin, I believe it is, in first place right now in the polls going into Election Day. This is Pellin. This is pretty much a winner take all because of how red Nebraska is. Again, I can't see that Hebster losing really crushes Trump's coattails unless it's a double whammy come Pennsylvania next week.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that what we're looking at in Nebraska, if you want like the insider's look, is Nebraska has a pretty significant absentee early vote program that started about a month ago when Charles Herbster and Jim Pillin were a little bit closer. And so this late breaking news can certainly have an effect, but there's been a significant portion of the electorate that's already voted. And so while President Trump is coming to Nebraska this weekend and stumping for him, if Pillin did his job and collected the votes like he was supposed to a month ago, he should be able to keep ahead. But knowing, the last time there was a contested race in Nebraska, the current Governor Ricketts won by 2,700 votes. That race wasn't called till 2 a.m. This one could go pretty late into the night, and this one's a pretty nasty affair on all sides. They're spending a lot of money, a lot of attack ads. It's not Nebraska nice there. It's a pretty intense campaign.
I like that. It's not Nebraska nice. Scott, we'll see you tomorrow. Julia, real quick, I only got about 15 seconds. How worried right now is the White House, or how excited are they about the prospect of all of these Trump-endorsed candidates suddenly on the ballot in November?
I think it all depends on turnout, and I would assume there is a worrisome factor when they look at the turnout factor in Ohio. We saw that J.D. Vance was able to galvanize quite a bit of votes at that level, as well as some of the down-ballot House candidates. So the turnout is what's concerning for Democrats.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here. Scott, Julia, good to see you. Scott, see you tomorrow night.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.